My name's Mr. Delay, and well, this is my vlog. We got a couple things to do today. Number one, a poem from Sterling Brown called Riverbank Blues. Second on the list, we're gonna do a writing prompt, and it's not mandatory, you don't have to do it, but it's kind of a fun thing that I'm hoping that you and I can explore together. Next up, we're gonna do a mini lesson on symbolism, kind of walk you through what that means. And lastly, but not leastly, a song/artist of the day featuring Bruce Springsteen. That's coming up. Class, it's now in session.
Talk dirty to me. You name all 12 of the dogs, I can't resist that. And what's the core in your wand? I think that ours match. Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
Alright, welcome back to the vlog, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the classroom. It is Monday, March 30th, 2020. My name is Mr. Delay. Welcome back to the classroom. This is my classroom. This is the studio classroom. This is the idea that I constructed so that it would feel kind of comfortable-ish, familiar, but that I can have stuff that I can work on while I talk to you. So the format of this today is going to be probably a little bit longer as I explain this, but today is going to be kind of the introduction of this. Every video will start out with an introduction of a poem. I'll read you a poem. I might talk about it a little bit, and then there'll be a writing kind of prompt or writing exercise that you can take part in. You don't have to, like, none of this is like mandatory, I'm going to grade you, but if you're looking for ways to improve, to kind of get better at, and to take on a challenge, these are the things you can do. These are some things you can take part in, and there's a lot more learning opportunities on Google Classroom as well. So I want you to be interested in taking part in these. So we'll have a writing prompt, then there'll be like a mini lesson where I talk about stuff and show you some stuff on my video here, and then I will close it out with a suggestion for a song/artist of the day, and I've already got that picked for today, as you saw in the intro. So this video, I guess we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Video comes in 4 parts. Part 1. Part 1 is a poem, and it's by Sterling A. Brown, and it's titled Riverbank Blues. And I'm going to turn this guy on, and I do, so I know exactly where that goes, so I can see it on my audio. Okay, here we go. Riverbank Blues by Sterling A. Brown. A man get his feet set in a sticky mud bank. A man get this yellow water in his blood. No need for hoping, no need for doing. Muddy streams keep him fixed for good. Little Muddy, Big Muddy, Moreau and Osage. Little Mary's, Big Mary's, Cedar Creek. Flood their muddy water round about a man's roots. Keep him soaked and stranded and get him weak. Lazy sun shining on a little cabin. Lazy moon glistening over river trees. Old river whispering, lapping against the long roots. Plenty of rest and peace in these. Big mules, black loam, apple and peach trees. But seem like the river washes us down, past the rich farms, away from the fat lands. Dumps us in some ornery riverbank town. Went down to the river, sat me down and listened. Heard the water talking, quiet, quiet like and slow. Ain't no need for hurry, take your time, take your time. Heard it saying, baby, how's the way life go? That is what it told me as I watched it slowly rolling, but something in the way inside me reared up and say, better be moving, better be traveling. Riverbank will get you stay. Towns are sinking deeper, deeper in the riverbank, taken to ways of their sulky old man, taken on his creepy ways, taken on his evil ways. Best get way, long way, while you can. Man got his sea too, like the Mississippi, ain't got so long for a whole lot longer way. Man better move some, better not get rooted, muddy water fool you if you stay. So the cool thing about this poem, as you're watching it, is that the author writes and uses language to kind of get you into the beat, but also into the dialect of the local writer who's writing this, or the narrator, or wherever this is set. It looks like it's set, obviously, in Mississippi, where it talks about all the rivers and stuff. So it's kind of fun to read poetry that, as you read it, you start to slip into the vernacular and the dialect, and you can hear that voice of this man warning you that that water, it's good water, and there's good things here, but that water will pull you in, and there's some bad stuff here, and that water is going to get you into trouble. And so I really like that poem just because it's got a lot of imagery. It talks about the rivers. It talks about how it's lapping against those roots, but it also talks about how it'll sink you in. It'll get a hold of you, and those evil ways and those creepy ways, the old men, the old times, they're going to come back. They're going to start to pull you in, even though you think you're making that money and you're doing good. It's still not going to do you well. So there's your poem for the day from Sterling A. Brown, Riverbank Blues. Part 2. Part 2 is a writing prompt, and I'm not going to do this prompt with you this time because the subject matter is a little interesting. But I want you to at least think about it because it's in the vein of things you want to say but you can't. And so the prompt is write 10 social media posts. It could be Snapchat, it could be Instagram, it could be Twitter, it could be Facebook, it could be any of those things, but 10 social media posts you want to make, but you won't. For various reasons, of course. Well, there's always that thing we hold back. Like, we don't say what we really feel sometimes. We're like, oh, I just want to let it out. But if we let it out, it can hurt people. It can do more damage than it really could do more healing. So think about that. Write it down in Google Docs, or write it down in a journal. I'll eventually do this in my journal at some point this week. See what you can come up with as you kind of think on, like, what are some things that you would say about either the world today, or about what's going on in your life, or about people. Like, what are those social media posts you would make? Part 3, symbolism. Now, the assignment for this week and into next week, it's a 2-week assignment, is to do the process of the slides. So there's 3 slides. There's a symbolism slide, there's the compare and contrast slide, and there's the theme slide. And there's specific instructions on Google Classroom that asks you to go through each and put certain things on there. For me, as symbolism as we defined it is when the author uses a concrete object, a person, or even a color to show a connection to something or someone else. So it can be used to show emotion. So like greed as a symbol for Scrooge McDuck and his greed in his money bank. We talked about that. It's, generosity, happiness, anger. It can appear many times through a novel, a movie, or a TV show. There's a conventional symbol, and then there's the private symbol, right? Remember, the conventional symbol is like ticking of a clock or chiming of the bells means death is near. Crows, if they're around, that means, ooh, there's a dead thing in the world somewhere. That's a conventional symbol. It's a universal symbol that we've seen. Like green generally means greed, or money, or things of that sort. Red usually means anger or blood, stuff like that. Then there's the private symbols. And we talked about Edgar Allan Poe's use of red. And his use of red was, we think of it as blood, but his was because many of the women in his life, the important women in his life, passed away from tuberculosis. One of the symptoms of tuberculosis, which is a respiratory condition, was coughing up blood. And so for him, Edgar Allan Poe's visceral connection to that color put him in a place where he started putting that in all his writing as a symbol, but it was a private symbol that he himself had taken and made his own. So for me, as a symbol, for a conventional symbol of my life, as I would use the phoenix. The phoenix is a bird, a mythical bird, that is reborn after it dies. And I'm 37, I'll be 38 in a couple of days. I have had a lot of rebirths. I didn't finish college originally when I graduated high school. And so for me, the symbolism of my life is the original life I led up until when I went back to school in 2014. I didn't have a degree, and I needed one. And I really realized I needed to find a career that I could fulfill myself with. And so I went back to school, and I learned how to be a teacher, and I learned all the things I needed to, got my degree, got my certification from the state, and got a job here in Fort Morgan, Colorado as a 6th grade literacy teacher. But up until that point, I was kind of at the end of my rope. I was tired, I was exhausted, I was bitter, I was angry. I was not a fun person to be around. And it affected my health, it affected everything. It affected all of my life. And my friends were always like, Mr. DeLay, you're kind of being down, like you're kind of unhappy all the time. And so it took a lot for me to realize I need to change my life. And so the old Mr. DeLay had to go away, and he sheltered himself away, and he studied for 4 years, didn't have much of a social life, and then he came out of college, reborn, on fire, and ready to take on the world like a phoenix. So that's a symbol. So what I would do in my document and I'll put it on Google Classroom here a little later today, is I would put like a phoenix, and then I would have the phases of the phoenix, because phoenixes have phases that they go through from life to death to rebirth, and then being who they are. You'll know Phoenix from X-Men. She had that. She that again has roots in literature before the X-Men. The Phoenix is not just a new thing. It's been around for a very long time in literature and myth and legend and all of that. So I'll put that up there and show you what I'm doing with my symbolism and how I'm using that to represent my life. For you, the challenge is symbolism for your 6th grade life. What image, what symbol, what color symbolizes your 6th grade life so far this school year from 2019 to 2020. That is your challenge. And hopefully this helped you kind of get a better grasp of what I'm looking for, and in different ways that you can kind of maybe up your project a little bit, up your ante, make it a little prettier, polish up a little bit, get it looking good. Thumbs up. I don't know what that was, but that was a thing. Part 4. Part 4 is a musical artist or song recommendation, and I recommend to you Bruce Springsteen, also known as The Boss. Bruce Springsteen is an excellent artist. I can't play any of his music because I'll get copyright striked, but I'll read you from the song Glory Days. You should go listen to it as I play this. So open up another tab, go to YouTube, type in Glory Days, Bruce Springsteen. It'll auto-populate, and just click play. I'm going to let you do that real quick. Okay, open up a tab, youtube.com. Bruce Springsteen. Glory Days. Ready? Here we go. I had a friend who was a big baseball player back in high school. He would throw that speedball by you, make you look like a fool, boy. Saw him the other night at this roadside bar. I was walking in. He was walking out. We went back inside, sat down, had a few drinks, but all he kept talking about was glory days. Well, they'll pass you by. Glory days in the wink of a young girl's eye. Glory days, glory days. Well, there's a girl that lives up the block. Back in school, she could turn all the boys' heads. Sometimes on a Friday, I'll stop by and have a few drinks after she put her kids to bed. Her and her husband, Bobby, well, they split up. I guess it's 2 years gone by now. We just sit around talking about the old times. She says when she feels like crying, she starts laughing, thinking about glory days. Well, they'll pass you by. Glory days in the wink of a young girl's eye. Glory days, glory days. So there's much more to that song. Hopefully, it's kind of like talking about how we look back on the days of, oh, those were the glory days. But sometimes the days of old, they were cool, but there was also stuff that wasn't so great about them. And other times, those were our best days, and where we found ourselves because we've made choices, or we've just kind of had things happen to us. We don't have we look back at those glory days and go, oh man, what a simpler time, what a simpler age. That it is. So for you as a student, as a 6th grader, maybe looking back on your glory days of elementary school and kind of thinking about who were back then. What kind of a kid were you? What kind of human being were you? And what has changed? And has things changed? And maybe, hey, do they need to change? There's something for you. Some to kind of marinate on, chew on, sit in, soak in. I don't know what other imagery or metaphor I can come up with, but take that, sit in it for a couple days, think about the past, the present, and the future, and who you are, who you were, and who you could be. Lots to think about. That ends today's lesson. It is March 30th, 2020. My name is Mr. Delay. This has been a delayed teacher class. That's the end. That's the bell. Time to go. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Stay healthy, stay safe, and know you are loved. I'll see you tomorrow for class. Glory days, and they'll pass you by. Glory days, in the wink of a young girl's eye. Glory days, glory days, glory days.